Why you're not a clone of your parents. This past week, you've read about personality psychology, which is a study of individual differences. We will be testing your learning today, watching some video demonstrations, and adding to your knowledge of personality psychology. As usual, don't forget to do your extra credit questions. They are password free, but still limited to 1 minute. So I'd like to begin by testing your learning of the 6 approaches to personality that you learned about in your online reading. Pause this video now to test your learning and then resume to check your answers. Okay, so let's compare answers here. Number 1 is biological psychology, right? A good way to remember biological psychology are 2 keywords, genetics and physiology, okay? Number 2 is psychodynamic. Best way to remember that is unconscious influences. Number 3 is behavioral, and the best way to remember that is rewards and punishment. Number 4 would be trait dimensions. And I can't think of a better 2 words than trait dimensions itself. What we mean by trait dimensions is that we can measure personality traits on a dimension, meaning from 0 to 100 or 0 to 50. It doesn't matter as long as we use the same scale for everybody, right? And then we study individual differences by looking at where people vary on where they land on that scale. Very cool approach to personality. Number 5 is humanistic, right? So the best way to remember that is free will and the positive side of human nature, right? And then finally, number 6 is cognitive, and that, of course, would be thought processes. So these are a review for you because they're also areas of psychology in general. But all of these are approaches to studying personality. It doesn't mean that one is better than the others. They're all just different approaches. Where do your interests lie? If you were a researcher, what approach would you find to be the most interesting? Okay, now we're not going to go into detail on Freudian psychology, including his psychosexual development theory, because it has not been validated. However, we are going to cover some for its historical value. Hey, sex sells. So he got all the press for quite a while and is still the most famous psychologist today. So there certainly is historical significance here. But his work was not really scientific yet. So I'm going to give you just enough so that you will get all the Freudian jokes. All right. So starting with phallic symbols. Phallic symbols come from Freud's dream theory. You remember that? He felt that any item in a dream that is cylindrical could be a phallic symbol. In other words, a symbol for the penis. All right, Freudian slips. Freud thought that there was no such thing as an innocent mistake. He believed that mistakes are motivated by sexual wish fulfillment. For instance, a news reporter recently meant to say election results, and instead on national news said erection results. Pretty embarrassing, right? Great example of a Freudian slip. Oral personality. Now, Freud thought that infants who experience great difficulty weaning from the breast exhibit an oral personality in adulthood. And this is characterized by a high need to put things in the mouth. So overeating would be an example, over drinking, smoking, chewing on your fingernails, chewing on pencil erasers, etc. Now, anal personality. Freud believed that infants who experience great difficulty with toilet training finally become belligerent, as in, my caretaker expects too much of me. This is ridiculous. I'm giving up. Or they react with guilt. In other words, they keep hopelessly trying to please their caretaker beyond their abilities at that time. So this results in two different kinds of anal personalities, according to Freud's theory. So the belligerent reaction is exhibited in the adult personality that is called anal repulsive personality. And that is exhibited as someone being particularly messy, sloppy, aggressive, hostile, especially hostile towards women. Okay? Now, the guilty reaction is exhibited in adult personality in this theory as the anal retentive personality. And that would be someone who is super organized and neat. They have a high need for control.